Hello everyone, this is that damn Pipsqueak bringing you more coverage of Grand Prix Rome. Still in round one, we have Chumbeque on a kind of white, weenie, MonoWhite controlled list versus Kayiu, who is playing a blue-green Concord list. So, Concord is a mechanic that says if you have four or more card types among permanents you control, you get to, cast Seismic Colossus for cheaper, you get to draw extra cards on some spells, um, so there's a lot of very powerful synergies in Kaiyu's deck, and while we're only a couple turns in the game, it looks like Kayiu already had a start and evolved. Um, you know, casting a Wheat from Chaff, getting a token, Keen's Devoted, and Savnae's on him to a turn 3 Seismic Colossus, which, given this is a matchup about creatures, would be incredibly impressive, except this Heraldry kind of is keeping the Seismic Colossus at bay. Um, at the very least, it means that both players gain life whenever it attacks, so the only thing it's doing is acting as a really big life linker for Kayiu right now. Um, I don't believe there are any main deck ways in Kaiyu's deck of answering a heraldry other than just going big around it. Um, the good news is Savnae's Autumn is very good at that. So what Savnae's Autumn flips into is Savnae God of the Harvest. And then Kayiu could attack, heraldry gains the life, and then afterwards Kayiu can double powers and push a lot of damage. So Kayiu draws two cards and discards both Volt of Hearth and Elvish Opportunist, which to me I would be scared about what that indicates Kayiu might have in hand. I suspect Kayiu is slightly favored in this matchup just because Chumbeque's deck is, this small inches deck, and Kayiu's deck goes really big over the top. Second Seismic Colossus. Okay, now Heraldry cannot keep up. So Kayiu will be pushing for 5 this turn and gaining 10. And suddenly this Tau Locust Sentry is not a very good source of keeping up. I think Kayiu was even on the draw this game, unless he missed a land drop. I unfortunately came into the game a couple turns in, as y'all saw, so my understanding of what's going on is a little bit shaky, but we're quickly putting it together. So from this position, Chumbeque has one card that's kind of the deck's Hail Mary catch-up mechanism, which is Haval, God of Glory. Unlikeliest Heroes does not seem like it would do it. That can definitely chump block, though. Ostracizer Orb nabbing Savnae's Autumn is a heads-up play. I guess if your goal is to just stop these Seismic Colossi, you can do that. Ooh, I think Chumbeque missed that Heraldry gains you life whenever you attack as well. That's interesting. But yeah, because Savnae's Autumn does threaten to kill you if Kayiu ever draws another mana source. Well, I don't think literally on the spot if Kayiu draws another mana source, but it's damn near close. I suspect we'll see Kayiu start cracking through these clues this turn. Unlikeliest Heroes is just a chump block here, because that has trample. I think Chumbeque just realized that. Alright, so I believe how did Chumbeque take 10? Oh, okay. Did remember the +5. I see. I mathed incorrectly and assumed that Chumbeque had made a mistake. Chumbeque is up to 4 permanents in play, which means that Cower is still uncastable for Kayiu, right? No, Cower, that means Cower's a 4-drop. So Kayiu, if Kayiu has land effing counter, Kayiu can slam a Cower, eat the Ostracizer's Orb, get the Savnae back. Mysterious Cataract can also find a Lumbering Hillock at end step, which I suspect is what we'll see this do, especially as Kayiu is able to continue to crack clues. Make sure if you're trying to find a utility land with a fetch land, you do it before you crack clues, because otherwise, there's always a chance you'll draw the thing you wanted. Okay, so the thing that I was just commenting on of Chumbeque not realizing that Heraldry works for both sides, Chumbeque also now just realized, which that would probably be the difference of being at 3 versus being at 9, which I'm sure you're definitely feeling when you're staring down 2 Seismic Colossi. I'm also a little bit surprised Chumbeque didn't animate Heraldry last turn, because getting in for an extra 3 flying damage would have been pretty good, but I think it's an understandable mistake. Currently I'm taking a judge chat back in the Discord about Chumbeque missing the Heraldry triggers. Alright, we should be resuming the game. MSEM GPs are played at comp REL, so sometimes we'll have to stop for judge calls like that. Um, we also only have a couple of judges who are L1 or greater on the MSEM team, so if you follow MSEM and you would like to be a judge and help us out, that is always appreciated. Uh, while we do have a bunch of custom cards, most of the situations that come up are the same situations that come up at any comp REL event, like Judge, I forgot my triggers, Judge, I, drew an extra card. Um, although we do have some advantages by virtue of having access to cockatrice, undoing cards functions. Sorry, undoing cards drawn functions. So, Chumbeque getting in with Tall, I think that getting in before playing anything is a very good sign for Kayiu, since Kayu's difficult situation would be a Helvala coming down. I think that's the most realistic way Chumbeque breaks out of this game. Um, Kayiu drawing cards before cracking this Mysterious Cataract, so it'll be interesting to see if we don't see a Hillock come out as a result. Would Hillock be good on this board state? I think so. So you're effectively swinging for 9 trample. Your opponent has 2 toughness of blockers, that's 7 damage. So even if they animate Heraldry, they still go to 1. So yeah, I assume we'll see a Hillock here. But it's also possible we won't if Kayiu has now accidentally drawn it. Or that Kayiu has drawn something flesh in level, and we'll see that instead. No, we did not see the Hillock. We saw just another snow-covered forest. That's interesting. I wonder why. Yeah, I'm also currently keeping up with the players' list to see what both of them are playing around. Kayiu keeps asking to see if clues are okay to crack, which Chumbeque doesn't have any ability to punish you for cracking clues. I guess could activate Unlikeliest Heroes while you're tapped out, but that seems unlikely. Well, pun not intended. So we're just going to see Seismic Colossi coming in here. Chumbeque will go up to 10, and can't afford to just take, can't afford to take 10 here. But a single chump block with Unlikeliest Heroes is good enough. Unlikeliest Heroes is about to grow to being a 4/4, I believe. Yeah, it's going to become a 4/4 Vigilance, so you can stay alive at exactly 4 life, which is okay, but I definitely feel uncertain about how you're going to win this game, because now you've burned through your extra time. And also, I do want the record to reflect that, hey, Kai's opponent's surviving at 4 life. Oh yeah, drew the Lumbering Hillock off the clue, I'm fairly certain. So, while I can't see players' hands, that's the decision line that makes sense there. Don't crack clues before cracking fetches, kids. You might not like what happens. This also applies to a lot of draw spells in general. That's the main issue that I have hit, is drawing too many cards and running out of fetchables in my deck. Kayiu looks like he's trying to decide how to proceed from here. I feel like if you have a threat, you should just slam it on the table. Chumbeque's only board removal is 4 copies of Disseminate, and otherwise Tiny Hero Toddy is already active in terms of coming from behind here. There's nothing really that punishes you for jamming roll, if that's what you have. And Kayiu does have 3 cards in hand, so unless those are all lands, Kayiu has a lot of, big bombs that he could slap on the table. Unfortunately, can no longer cower. If he wanted to resolve a cower, probably should have done that pre-combat, when Chumbeque still had another creature. But, really not the end of the world on that front. Sights Beyond. Okay, so this does mean Concord is back on. Kayiu drawing an extra card next turn is nice, but unless it's a Seismic Colossus, it won't specifically matter board state-wise. It's possible Kayiu is trying to kind of gear up for the long haul, assuming that Chumbeque will be able to find, either some big stabilized card or something that, removes Kayiu's threats. I don't think that's a super likely thing you need to play around, but I also don't know the contents of Kayiu's hand. So I don't know what Sights Beyond was played instead of. Kayiu having 5-mana open means that even double Disseminate doesn't do it here. And if Tall swings in, Chumbeque goes up to 6. Seismic Colossus goes up to 11, goes back down to 1. So Chumbeque isn't dead next turn, but is just like on the verge of dying. Heraldry animation is fairly exciting because that's 3 extra power. Oh, sorry, that's an extra power over Tall. Ostracizer Orb grabbing the good. So those Ostracizer Orbs have probably just been stuck in Chumbeque's hand while staring down the Seismic Colossus, which is really funny. Prowess Trigger is nice with the Heraldry. I assume we'll see that get in and put Chumbeque up to 8 life. Ooh, I'm not sure if I like attacking with Tall there, because you're not going to win this game via chip shots. I suspect having that 1 extra toughness on block is going to be pretty nice. Chumbeque's about to go up to 13 for the Seismic Colossus attacks, but Kayiu's attacking with 14 trample, so I don't know, that 1 toughness of Ethereum Abrogator does not look good enough. I'm pretty sure Chumbeque just left himself dead on board. Although I'm not sure if my line that I was suggesting keeps you from not dying on board. That's 2 toughness to survive the effectively died power that's coming out. No, would have survived at 1 life. So if Chumbeque had kept back Tall, would have survived at 1 life, would have answered the Hillock. Maybe just missed that the Hillock also had trample. Alright, so that's a wrap on our game 1. I asked the players to restart game 2 so that I would have access to the chat, but it does not look like they're sticking to that. So let's go ahead and check out deck list really quick. 1 moment as I get OBS to cooperate with me. Alright, so this is Kayiu's deck. Sideboard-wise, so the way that you're likely to lose this matchup is via Chumbeque getting under you and disrupting you. So part of me wants to, board in some Snowfield Mothers and Sagheras. Saghera also blowing up Heraldry and blowing up Ostracizer Orb is pretty good. On the other hand, the reason you have Saghera is for a Epic Encounter package, so maybe instead you board in the Jade Vault Reclaimers. I think actually that's the primary thing I want. Sack Bull is fine. Jade Vault Reclaimer is the one I really want. I'd probably on the draw shave on El Ryan, and I might shave on Rockroll. Well, not sure why that's not appearing there. While Rockroll is a very powerful card, it's also an expensive one, and again, this matchup's kind of about how quickly you can get on board. Meanwhile, with Chumbeque's deck, there's not a lot of cards that are particularly great here. Paragon of Honor isn't good. Buried in Time misses most of the things you care about. Like, you might be forced to bring it in, but you're not happy with it. Tiny Hero Toddy's fine. Like, this game is about playing to the board. Kayiu has a lot of fetches. Yeah, Tiny Hero Toddy seems defensible, and Event Horizon feels potentially good. Again, it's really bad versus the 8 CMC creature that Kayiu has, but everything else it's fine against. And on the play, I'd be hesitant to board out any of the instants, but in general, those are the ones I would look to board out. It's slightly awkward, actually, that Ethereum Abrogator shuts down Jade... Oh, no, the Ethereum Abrogator doesn't shut down Jade Vault Reclaimer, just shuts down half of it. Alright, yeah. Kay probably wants those. It looks like we're headed into the game, so let's go ahead and focus on that. Kayiu is keeping 6. Chumbeque is keeping 7. Again, wish I could see hands so I could give everyone the biting commentary that I'm sure I would have about what cards players were choosing to keep or how sketch hands work. But that is not the world we live in. So thinking about specifically how this matchup's inclined to go, I think what I would expect to see is Chumbeque getting a creature on the board as soon as possible. Unlikely as Heroes is a good start to that. And then Kayiu is a ramp deck. Kayiu pretty reliably will play a Mana Dork on turn 1. After that is where things start diverging, and it really depends on Kayiu's hand. Since Kayiu's goal is basically to build up Concord as soon as possible, or start developing Sabne, or like just get a couple permanents in play and then Tameo it up. So there's a couple different paths that can happen. So Chumbeque didn't have is still representing Disseminate, so you need to be careful around that. Is still representing Invalidate, so you have to be careful around that. But Keen's Devoted does help a lot. So Kayiu was able to cast Ramp Spell, and do so around any disruption. And what I found while playing this deck is just how invaluable Sabne's Autumn is. It is probably the best card in the deck, or at least it's close. So it's really interesting to see not how to play around it, but utilizing Sabne's Autumn immediately, resolving it as soon as you can, ramping up into the 5 landmark. All of those things are just really critical towards your most powerful openings. Yep, so Kayiu is going to be untapping into turn 3 with access to 5 mana, maybe 6, depending on if Kayiu has another land to play. So, not bad, not bad. Monument of Queens is also just another great, slightly difficult to interact with win condition, especially when Chumbeque's primary method of interaction is the Ostracizer Orbs. One thing that's really true about Kayiu's deck is there are, I wouldn't say there's a lot of decisions to be made, but you do have some kind of key sequencing things to do, especially when you're playing around Disseminate or something similar. I keep saying Disseminate when I mean Invalidate, and I think it's because of just how much I hate playing around Disseminate, but it's basically the same play patterns in terms of what you're trying to play around. Okay, tapping 3 mana. I don't believe Kayu's deck plays Recall Forgotten Aeons. Okay, we're redeciding. We're deciding not to tap 3 mana. Very exciting, very exciting. Again, I apologize that I'm kind of limited in the commentary I can give when a lot of the game that's happening is happening in the players' heads. Especially because I can't just, like, hypothesize about what they might want to be doing. Okay, so we are going to see a Tamiyo. So Tamiyo on this board state is going to draw 4 cards, like, immediately. Well, technically net 3 cards, my apologies. But if Kayiu chooses to just, like, block with a Keen's Devoted, that immediately represents Tamiyo drawing another net 3 cards. So this Tamiyo is potentially a +6 in terms of card advantage, which is one of the most powerful things about Kayu's deck, is how well it is built to abuse Tamiyo, which is really exciting to, get to see now in action. I do foresee Kayiu considering untapping and scrying with the Tamiyo. I would not agree with that decision, but it's one that we might be seeing Kayiu consider. Yeah, huh. Why? What's the spell you have that you want to cast here that's worth not drawing, 4 cards immediately? That's really interesting. I guess it's even more interesting if Kayiu passes here, because maybe it just means that Kayiu really wants Tamiyo to be at 5 loyalty. Maybe Kayiu really values the scry. Both those seem kind of unlikely, but, they're within the realm of possibility, certainly. The scry is fairly powerful in Kayiu's deck because of how high impact the cards in that deck are. Kayiu does have a land drop to make still, and cast another Saturdays on. So was scrying to set up the Saturdays draw. That makes sense. Kayiu put both cards back on top, which is kind of scary if you're on Chumbeque's side. And also Kayiu is nearing the Fealty 5 portion of the game. So that's probably a really bad place to be in if you're Chumbeque, so you're now kind of incentivized to try to find some way to end the game faster. And Chumbeque's deck is not built for speed. It is built for maximum disruption. Yeah, if Kayiu is able to untap and play another land next turn, this game is, I think, over on the spot. And can't even afford to just, like, say, sure, you're welcome to hit Tamiyo. Like, bring it. Unlike Laced Heroes, does only become... Okay, so Havala, God of Glory is a great draw for Chumbeque here, because the 4/4 Angel that she creates will be flying, and thus will be unable to be blocked. So I think if you're Kayiu, I think you just sacrifice Tamiyo here. Ooh, I don't know. Huh, why? No, I guess that makes sense. Like, the Keen's Devoted is less useful at this stage of the game than keeping Tamiyo alive, even at 1 loyalty, because Tamiyo is also effectively a mana dork. Okay, never mind. That makes sense. Kayiu sequencing last turn makes sense, given that he was just trying to find the way to cast all of the cards in his hand. So now Kayiu has 1 card in hand left to work with. I assume it's not a forest, otherwise we'd just see that immediately come down. I assume it's also not... Well, I think every creature in Kayu's deck is castable at this point. So it can't be something uncastable, which means it might just be something not good here. Wheat from Chaff, I guess, would be the worst draw in the deck. So maybe that's what happened. Unfortunately, Tamiyo surviving at 1 loyalty rather than 2 means that she can't be cashed in to draw cards here, which is a little bit unfortunate. And this Angel is going to chain into another Angel, unless Havala is dealt with. So Sights Beyond is a solid draw here. Getting to scry 3 cards is big game, especially with Tamiyo being able to plus to also make you scry more cards. Uh, I think there's only one landing graveyard, but this sack bull can pump up to being a 3/3. I think right now you just want to attack because Helvala just will encourage Chumbeque to race here. Swing with the angel, make another angel, keep chaining that. I suspect Tamio is going to die next turn, and you're going to go down to 10 if you're Kayiu. So you really just need to set yourself up to get as much done as possible. Maybe I think you should probably also fire up Monument of Queens, so then you can actually do. So you can do Monument of Queens plus tap this, grow this to being a 3/3, swing for 4, gain 1 life. And the following turn, if you hit a forest, which you're scrying 5 cards, you should be able to hit a forest. You can then flip Sabne and just try to crunch it for as much damage as possible. I believe on this board state a Sabne flip will be, so let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Sabne will be able to flip and pump, which means Sabne will be swinging as an 8/8 plus another 6 power, so that's 14. So that's not quite lethal if Kayiu hits for 4 this turn. So I guess maybe that's not the line. Huh. But I definitely don't like sitting back here, because Unlikely Tears isn't going to untap. Sacrificial Bull isn't going to block an angel. There's nothing that sitting back with a Sac Bull does. So at the very least, you should get in for that 2 damage, especially because this game is going to come down to racing. And Heraldry is just huge here. So Chumbeque's now going to be gaining a bunch of life, so the race dream is just over. So gain 4, presumably kill Tamio, and hit you in the face for 4. Might just go face, I guess, because that's technically 8 damage here would put Kayiu at dead next turn. But I guess Kayiu is also dead next turn if Heraldry animates. So, yeesh. It is not looking good for Blue-Green Concord here. Gonna go ahead and pop Monument now, which is a reasonable decision. So Kayiu has gone to Scry 3 and topped 1 card, and then Scry 2, and I think topped only 1 card. So Kayiu has got to do a extraordinary amount of digging. Sights Beyond is going to trigger here. Wait, enchantment, creature, land? I mean, not a huge deal because that was drawing the upkeep. Instead, you just draw the draw step. There isn't a total number of cards that has been seen above average. So I assume we're about to get a judge call for that, and the answer is just to be, it's fine, draw on your draw step, since it won't matter unless that was an instant. It's possible Kayiu's plan, though, hinged around... Yeah, it looks like Kayiu's plan might have hinged around, assuming that extra draw was going to happen because of Tamio. Hey, the 5th forest does mean you get to turn on Sabne, which is great. You shouldn't tap 3 lands for that, though. You should tap Keen's Devote, yeah. Okay, so this is actually a kind of issue, because it does mean that Kayiu has 1 less mana to work with. Well, yeah, no, so that actually can matter. Having 1 less mana to work with means that Sac Bull can't be activated. So whereas before you would be able to double all your creatures' power and then sack Bull to survive, that's not something you can do here. I think there were a lot of not a lot. There were a couple small moments that Kayiu took choices that I wouldn't have made, and I'm not confident enough to say that those were wrong choices, but they were definitely different, and I think some of them we are seeing the consequences of. But we're also working with imperfect information here. It's possible that with the perfect information, Kayiu's decisions made more sense. Ethereum Abrogator, not relevant for its own body, well, a little bit relevant, but very relevant for the fact that Heraldry animating means this is probably lethal. Cascade Hirotani is also nice. So Heraldry is going to be swinging for 4. The Angels are going to be swinging for 4 each, so that's 12 damage. Kayiu can gain up to 12 life with Sac Bull, actually up to 13 life. So Kayiu is not dead on board, TM. If Chumbeque can somehow pump Heraldry once more, then Kayiu's dead, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So Kayiu does get to untap, albeit without a Sac Bull. Wait, 1, 2, 3... Okay, is 1 angel short of Helvala attacking, which is insane. I don't think I've ever, in my MSEM career, seen Helvala attack. So that's something to look forward to next turn, I guess. Wait, what? Kayiu is doing math slightly incorrectly. Kayiu is forgetting the onboard Sacrificial Bull as well. But I don't think that super matters either way. Kayiu's deck doesn't have flyers, it doesn't have removal. Double check to see. Actually, could have mattered if Kayiu ripped a Seismic Colossus off the top, but Concord is off, so no, that couldn't have mattered. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Technically a premature scoop there, but I don't think a relevantly premature one. I think we're going to see Kayiu board slightly differently while being on the play, um, but I'm not certain exactly how. So it'll be interesting to see how if slash how that pans out. All right, so Kayu's able to keep a 7. Chumbeque should be shaking in his boots because definitely the Concord deck is incredibly powerful if it doesn't stumble over itself. Which it doesn't feel super likely to do that, but it's one of those things like it's happened, as we just saw. Um, the correct amount of disruption was placed upon it, and I don't feel like it endured that effect. Yep, turn 1 Keen's Devoted. It's a start that never gets old. The deck plays 4 Keen's Devoted because it wants to do this every single time. Failing to do that, you instead want to Elvish Opportunist. And the turn 1 Disseminate to answer the Keen's Devoted feels kind of great. But there's also, you shouldn't play around that in the ramp deck. Like, you can't afford to stymie your own game plan in fear that they might do that. It's just not the right line. I think we'll see a Sabney's Autumn again. Yep. So assuming Kayiu has more lands, I think this game has looked pretty good. Obviously, it's only the first turn, but your opponent had to spend their first turn disseminating your turn 1 play, then you still got to play your turn 2 play undisrupted. Like, that always feels great. Ethereum Abrogator will turn off the Sabnays, further Sabnays, so hopefully Kayiu doesn't draw any more copies of them. But otherwise, Kayiu's like linear ramp plan will continue to be functional. I assume Kayiu is in the tank here about how to sequence this turn, whether to play out a Tamiyo, whether to continue ramping in some capacity. That sort of thing is what the question that you're kind of constantly asking yourself when you're playing Kayiu's deck. Is just, how do I maximize my threat efficiency over the course of these next couple turns? Nice little upkeep fetch. Oh wow, casting Rock as a ramp spell is not something you see particularly often in this format. This deck mostly plays it for roll, as do most decks in this format, but Rock seems entirely serviceable here. Explosive Vegetation's great. You get 2 more lands, which means Sabney can activate next turn. Like, I really like this line. I think it's really easy for players to fixate on, the correct half of a modal card, and forget that their cards are modal, that they could, utilize a different aspect of them than they typically do. So, the props for Kayiu remembering that his cards have text. Did he play 2 lands? Kayiu's on the play and had an additional land drop, so should have had 4 lands to Chumbeque's 2. Yeah. One of the nice things about also playing on Cockatrice is it keeps accurate game logs, so you never have those moments, or you have very few judge calls where in paper you would have players say, "Judge, I don't remember if my opponent played the correct number of lands this turn," and then that just becomes a huge, Event Horizon here is kind of brutal. It's not the end of the world, but it's really obnoxious since Kay was hoping I'll continue the threat. Chumbeque not hitting the 3rd land drop is really interesting. So I assume that means there's some slightly chunkier cards in hand, like Helvala or Toddy. There might be some more interaction in hand. I think I would shock out the Mysterious Cataract so I could fetch Lumbering Hillock next turn. But possible Kayiu has a better plan than that. I definitely don't think you want to do tap land go. I think that is the worst case scenario here. Is this a roll? Oh, geez. Well, I suspect Chumbeque does not have counterplay to a roll here, because this is creating 5 tokens. Chumbeque has some point and click removal, but Chumbeque doesn't play sweepers.